Hello and welcome back after a long break. You're listening to Biebcast, the podcast for students in Venlo, brought to you by the Venlo City Library. As you can hear, slightly different approach this time. For this very special episode, we want to invite all students of Venlo, roughly 5,000 of them, either German or Dutch, international or Venlonian. If you're a Fontys student or USV student, to tune in, for the main theme is gonna be cross-border studying and working. Hence, this episode will be completely in English. So Biebcast goes international. And my guests today are Janet Anthonissen, who is here with me at the podcast table already, and Maurice Schaffeld and Jan-Niklas Müller. So it's going to be a very German-orientated episode. Janet, let's kick off with you.
Okay, Lotte.
So, welcome and thank you for coming. Can you tell a little bit about yourself and about the Euregio Campus project, which brought us together here today?
Yeah, of course I can do, Lotte. My name is Janet Anthonissen. I'm a lecturer at the Fontys International Business School, and I'm also the coordinator of the project Euregio Campus, which is actually a collaboration between different parties of both sides of the border. So it's not just Fontys, but also the municipality of Venlo, and the Hogeschool Niederrhein, and the cities of Krefeld and München-Gladbach. And I almost forgot the Wirtschaftsförderung München-Gladbach. So different parties work together to one goal, and that goal is to change this region from a brain drain region into a brain gain region.
Okay, so from a drain region to a brain gain region. What do you mean exactly by that?
Well, it's really the case that many young people, especially young people, live here on both sides of the border, so in northern part of Limburg and also on the Niederrhein side, and we need them here. If the economy should be flourished in a even better way, then we need simply young people. We need to keep talent here in the region, and if they go to bigger cities, well, this is going to be maybe like the southern part of Limburg also, which you also call the Florida of the Netherlands, isn't it? In order to change that, we said, well, we need to do something. We need to show young people the companies over here, the study possibilities over here, because you don't need to go to a bigger city to find interesting jobs, etc. They are here, but they are hidden. People do not find them.
And how do you do that? How do you attract these young people to stay here, for example, or study here, but also to stay there after they have studied? How do you do that?
Yeah, well, we inform them already in secondary schools. We have some special programs with escape rooms and virtual reality glasses, etc. So we already try to inform them, entertain them in this kind of settings, so that they know already a bit about the region itself. And for students, we organize a lot of matchmaking events. So we invite companies here in the region in order to present themselves to our students. And well, of course, we work with internships and bachelor theses, etc. So what's need to be done at a company, and we try to convince the companies here in the region to take a look at our students, also especially our international students, because normally it's not a big problem for Dutch or German students to find an internship, but it's much more difficult for international students. So we try to open up the mindset also from companies in order to get in touch with especially our international students.
Mm-hmm. And what is your part in that story, in the whole?
Well, I'm just one of 6 people who is involved in these activities. We try to think about them, we implement them, we evaluate them. So it's a lot of work, starting from finding the right companies, convincing young people, convincing our students. It's a lot about promotion materials, etc. So before activity is started, already a lot of work before is done.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so you're kind of like a connector as well.
Yeah, of course.
Connecting all different parties and finding the right person to the right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's one thing I wanted to ask. It's about you. You work at Fontys, of course. And how is the student population there? Are there a lot of international students? And like how many are there at Fontys University?
We are the most international school from all Fontys schools. And of course, we are near the border, so a lot of them are from Germany, but we also have a lot of international students from other parts of Europe or also from outside of Europe. So if you talk about numbers, I would say 60, between 17 is from Germany and the rest is from the Netherlands.
60 to 70%.
Yeah, 60 for FIPS that's right. For FATNL that may be a little bit less.
Wow.
That's our technical business school.
So most students aren't like even Dutch. They are from other parts.
The Dutch people leave. Many Dutch people leave. Yeah, young people leave. And leave means they go to Nijmegen, they go to Eindhoven, Maastricht. That is, it's just an hour from here. But they leave the region.
And why
they're not coming back?
And why do these international students come to Venlo? What do they see in Venlo that the Dutch students don't see?
That's a very good question. Well, sometimes I was also told that they like the coziness of the city. It's small, so you get to know each other quite well. There are activities over here as well, but they like the how to say.
Gemütlichkeit.
Yeah, that's the right word, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the advantages if you look at like the geographical position of Venlo? Is that Venlo's unique selling point, so to speak, or?
Well, the good thing is, as a consumer, you can use both sides of the border. So the Dutch people go to DM, for example. On the other way around, everybody knows here the Zwei Brüder, of course. So that's what people do a lot. But just think about the labor market. Yeah, you can also use it as an employee. Yeah, you don't need to apply here in the Netherlands. You could also take a look at the other side of the border, and then you have the same situation as we have in the Randstad. If you take a look at the number of jobs, they are at least as high as in the Randstad. So you don't need to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much sums it all up. I think we are going to conclude because I think we get a broad view of Venlo as a student city and what kind of students come here and stay here. Is there anything else you think that's important to note that we haven't discussed yet?
Well, we are busy with different activities, and I just would like to mention maybe the website uregionalcampus.eu.
Mm-hmm.
You can find a lot of information over there. It's in 3 different languages, so it is up to date every week. So from that point of view, just take a look over there, and you will have the newest information.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, Janet, thank you very much for your contribution, and then we're moving on to the next conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here with me on the podcast table is Jan-Niklas Müller. Welcome.
Great. Lotte, thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, you're welcome. All the way from Germany, from Kempen, right? Is that where you live?
Long way, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you survived. So let's start. I have to check because I keep forgetting the word. But you are a Gründungsberater.
Yes,
isn't that right?
Sounds much more complicated than it is. Founder's advisor or founder's consultant is pretty much the translation.
Okay, and how would you define what do you do exactly in your day-to-day job?
I think we have only 20 minutes, right? So because it's a long line, it's that way that you don't have something comparable in the Netherlands. That's where I always have to explain. My advice is free of charge because I'm paid by the business development of Kreis Viersen, which is pretty much the county of Viersen. So I'm something like an advisor for everyone who's founding a company or thinking about starting a company. And I'm the one, if you're a student at Fontys, probably most students have an idea, a vague idea. So they can have a chat with me and we think about their idea. We can have a business model check, for example. I have, on the other hand, I have top managers who are about 50 or 60 years old and who think about founding a company for a very long time. So with them, it's not about the idea. It's more about getting a credit or have a look at their business plan, if it fits to the market and if they are needed in the market. And we have lots of other activities, but that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah. Okay. So based on the the students, you said that you have students from Fontys, for example, who come to you. How do they get to you, for example? And is it also open for other students or other people, the work that you do?
Yes, it is. We have many different, so I'm working as a founder's advisor, but the brand I'm working under is called Starter Center NRW. NRW stands for North Rhine-Westphalia. So we have pretty much in every city, we have a founder's advisor. I'll be there for everyone who's thinking about founding in Kreis Viersen, the county of Viersen, or is living there. So as we heard, many students from Fontys are either German or live really close at the border. So that's not a big deal for it. The Fontys itself has lots of different, let's say, programs for students who think about starting. There's Rudi Willemsen, who has, let's say, an entrepreneurial club, probably, and that's where we get in contact, because most students are, right at the beginning, so they have just vague ideas, so they do not Google for founder's advisor or something like this, and that's where we start. I think 2 weeks ago there was a course for students, entrepreneurs, about 14 or 15 different students. Some of them already founded a company, online marketing, really successful. And I was attending there. So it's about, going there and telling about the different opportunities they have and what I can offer them.
Yeah. And you said there's not something like this in the Netherlands. Is there,
as far as I know.
Okay. But is this kind of help also, at hand for Dutch students or Dutch people?
Yes.
For example, Rudi Willemsen, who you mentioned earlier.
As you probably can imagine, founding a company in Germany is not really easy, and as far as I know now, it's not even easy in the Netherlands. So we work together, but we organize that way that if I have German students, for example, who want to found in the Netherlands, probably Rudi is the partner you have to speak to. Vice versa. Or the Dutch students who think about going to the German market. It's much bigger, so there are some of them who want to sell their product, for example. So they come to me and we can talk about all that legal
stuff.
Yeah.
But do you think it's harder to start a company in Germany than in the Netherlands?
As far as I got now, it's just different. I think it's a tiny bit faster in the Netherlands. In the end, I think that's for most people who think about founding, it's, you go there and I just start now. And then you have a look on Google and all the other places and it's just too much. It's neither in the Netherlands nor in Germany really complicated. It's just hard to see what's important for me and what do I have to do today and what's maybe a thing I have to worry about in a year or two. And in the end, it's not that bad.
So just breaking it down into these kind of baby steps that you can follow.
Yeah. That's something I regularly do in my in our talks. There's just not the possibility to explain everything in an hour or two. So what I do is I work with the students and any other founders on a plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Things change. Their business ideas change. So what I'm telling them today is right, and it will be right in the future, but maybe not for them because their plans change. And so I work with them step one, and I tell them, I think you have to do that and this, and maybe you have a look at this book brochure, or have to talk to someone else. And then maybe a month or 2 months later, they come back and we have step two.
Is step one always the same?
No, never. Nearly never. So everyone, most have the same problems, because it's just too complicated, and they have heard of some words, it's not even translatable. But in the end, that's maybe 5 or 10 very common problems they have, but the solution is never the same. It's different. If I had students, for example, who wanted to run an Amazon business, so they thought about, maybe I import some electronic devices and sell them on Amazon. This is a business model that worked really, really well for a long time, but there are many different legal things you have to take care of. So an electric device is probably the worst thing you can start with on Amazon, because you can import it, but the customs will tell you, do you have dit, and you need declarances and all that stuff. So that's completely different if you want to be a consultant. That's pretty easy. Everyone can start a consultancy agency.
Yeah.
And that's where I have the look on. Probably I can see it a bit clearer than them, out of just experience. And
what is your background exactly?
I think this is a really good argument. I founded myself a company and run it for 3 years. So probably all these steps I had them.
You experienced them yourself.
Yes. And it's not theoretical advice. So I had most of the problems I had myself.
What kind of company was it?
It was, do you know HelloFresh?
Yes.
Great. We were like some sort of HelloFresh for bakery. If you want to do some sugar art, bake cakes with modeling and sugar paste, there were all the ingredients, recipes, and all that stuff in just one box, and we delivered it to your home. So
that's
your
great.
best friend has a birthday, and you want a Mickey Mouse cake. Here's the baking kit.
Do you like cakes and pies?
Still, yeah.
Still after this period of time.
And I have lots of baking equipment. Probably the male with the most baking ingredients at home and everything.
Nice. And is there, like, I was just wondering, are there specific trends that you see, like different kinds of, or a specific kind of companies that young people want to start? You were mentioning, I think, communication earlier, or
yes, there are
branding, advertising.
Yeah, that's really, really common. There are a few trends, and some of them are only happening with people around 20 or 25 years. It's online marketing. That's really, really big. Because many of them see the opportunities. They know how to code, they know how to design, and it's quite easy to gain customers. And lots of them are very successful. The beauty segment is really, it's not easy, but still many are interested in it. We have, let's say, communication, it's consultancy, like social media agency. That's where many of them start, because they are just used to it. And their customers are, let's say, 40 or 50 plus, and they don't have the experience there. So it's quite easy to gain customers. It's interesting, it's fun. And Amazon. Selling products on Amazon is really common.
Number one.
Yes.
I was just thinking, like, you meet a lot of young, very ambitious people, I think, because starting a company, I'm just thinking, like, if you're a student, you're busy enough with studying, right? Why would you want to start a company? I'm just being the devil's advocate here. Why do people want to do that when they are so young?
Really good question. I think the reason is different every time. Some of them, or many of them, had parents who were self-employed or had a company, so they are just used to it. Maybe it's just quite normal that their mom and their dad are self-employed. It's quite often. Others just let's say they started a YouTube channel and were quite successful and have seen, okay, I can run an affiliate business. I'm setting up a link, people click on the link, buy on Amazon, and they get 5% of the revenue. And they see, oh, that's good too. And so they start other things. It's just a development. Some of them just see themselves as entrepreneurs. They don't really have the idea, but they just like the thought of being self-employed. And maybe because it's more freedom, because if you are successful, better money than being employed. Many, many different other reasons. Yeah.
How many people do succeed? Do you have like a success rate at your the work that you do?
It's really hard. There are some statistics, and they have a wide range. Some say like just 10% are successful. Others say 70% are successful. It's hard to tell because if you have a look on like those who come to me and have just an idea. Maybe they just don't really start, it's just, they do some valuation, they test their business model with like €50 investment and see it's not working, next idea. For me, this is not successful, but they didn't start the development. So I guess if you have a look at startups, those who have investors in there, they're just a little who are successful. But I see success not as business success, but if you gain knowledge, if you gain experience, get new context, that's success as well.
Yeah, and finding out what works and what doesn't, of course, it all also helps you to narrow it down and move on.
Absolutely.
If you would have a tip, right, what would be the first step for people or students who are listening, to start? They have an idea of like, I want to start a company. Maybe, for example, I would think I would love to have a bookstore one day and sell delicious coffee and maybe something like donuts or something. I have that idea, but I have no idea how to get there. What will be my first step?
Yeah, if you already have an idea, that's quite cool because I always recommend the next step should be to validate your business model. It's quite hard with a bookstore, but there are other business models which you can test easily. For example, have a look around. Are there bookstores? Or are all the bookstores closing? Maybe you have do some research. Is there market growth? Or even better, is there a niche?
Like selling bakery equipment.
Yes, combined. Yeah, that's. You don't always have to invent something new. Many successful business either did something better. They just did the same. Like there's a German company who delivers drinks to you at home. It's nothing new.
Like specific kind of drinks or
just drinks. Also like. Crate of beer, crate of water and stuff.
Right.
But they have an app and they deliver within 2 hours. And I think they sold their company for €1 billion recently. It's nothing new. They had an app. None of them had an app before, and they deliver within 2 hours. That's it. So just do a better job than someone else. Be the friendliest, best equipped bookstore. Be cheaper or more expensive, but with more advices. Maybe there's a niche. There's not a bookstore where you can buy coffee or baking equipment, and then try to validate it. Ask your friends, ask someone on the street, would you buy it? Would you go there? Would you pay money to get it? And there are many different ways. You have to be quite creative, but I'd recommend before you go to the bank and write a business plan and get a €200,000 credit, try to validate it.
And where do you get into this story?
Everywhere, probably. At this very step, probably most of them don't even think about validating. It's just either I do it or I don't do it. And if they want to do it, they come to me and I need a business plan. And I have a look on it. I have a look with them. So I know where to find information about the market growth. I'm reading lots of business stuff about startups. So I know quite well, okay, maybe you could have a look there. So I bring in my own experience. I can tell them where to go. Chambers of commerce, other business developments. Maybe there are other startups coach, or I even know, or some of my contacts know someone who's into this branch. So maybe I know someone who runs a bookstore. So I always try to see what does the founder need and help them at this specific point. If they are very sure they want to run a business, a bookstore, we can talk about all the formalities, about the bureaucratic stuff, about how to write a business plan. They can give their business plan to me and I have a look at it. Can they make a living of it or not? And so on.
Kempen is really close to the Dutch border, of course. Do you see a lot of people or students who want to go abroad with their idea? Is there students who want to go international or promote it to the Dutch market, for example?
Not as much as I wish. It's probably because it's too early for most of them. That's something I recommend too. Don't try to go international before you didn't pick your own market. Going international is still European Union. We have it for 50 years. It's still complicated. You need advice. But I've seen, especially if you have products which you can sell on, for example, Amazon. It's really easy.
We're not sponsored by Amazon, by the way.
Sorry, I'm not even a fan of Amazon. But it's just a great way to market products. If you have an online shop, really easy. You just need to ship right across the border. But if you have something where you need legal advice, it gets complicated. That's the reason why most of them don't do it.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, do you think that's a shame? Because it's so close. It's just around the corner, it's like a whole world that you exclude by.
That's the good thing that we work together with the Fontys, because, as I said, it's hard to give legal advice to someone who wants to enter the Dutch market, because I don't really know it, and we make it easier. I can tell them, I have someone who I know who's Dutch. He knows the system, and he has specific contacts on the Dutch side, maybe a Dutch tax advisor. So we try to help them there, and it's getting better, but step by step.
Yeah, step by step. You mostly help German students, right? And not so much Dutch, because they have to live in Venlo.
Yeah. But that's an invitation for all the Dutch students. If you think about the German market is quite large, so if you make the next step, I'd always recommend go to Germany, or there is not an English-speaking market after the UK left. So come to Germany, and if you want to start a company or just expand and sell to Germany, come to me. We have a look at your business model and where to go, and if it's what's next for you.
Yeah, I think Germany is, of course, one of the biggest business partners in the Netherlands as well. So it would be good if more students become aware of that and take advantage of that
welcome.
Information.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming all the way here, and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks again for the invitation. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
I decided to get in touch with Rudy Willemse, the person that Jan-Niklas mentioned in his contribution to the podcast. And I decided to ask him if he knew any Dutch students that are already exploring their entrepreneurial side and go across the border with it. And so the name of Britt van Berkel popped up, a Dutch student studying international business at Fontys in Venlo, who decided to pursue her dream at the staggering age of 13, namely starting a charity to support children in South Africa. She and her charity help to improve education there, specifically in the province of Limpopo. So I decided to call her. Hello, Britt, and welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Yes, of course. Hey, can you tell a little bit about what you do? What business do you run?
Yes, of course. I have my own charity. I've been actively raising funds for my charity since I was 13. So I've been doing that for 10 years already. Quite a long time.
Yes.
And at the moment, my charity supports 2 schools and 2 kindergartens in South Africa.
Wow, so you started when you were 13.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's incredible. How did that idea form in your head? Like you were so young. What happened that you wanted to support this cause in South Africa? You said, right?
Yes, yeah, in South Africa. Well, my parents and I, we love to travel, and my parents love to show me the honest and true sides of every country. So not only the nice touristy and glamorous sides, but also what's really going on in the country. And they, the second time when we went to South Africa, they showed me under which circumstances people, and especially children, sometimes have to live with. And I'm quite an emotional person, so whenever I see somebody in need of something, I will do everything in my power to fulfill that need. And also when I was 13, when we were there, I felt so emotionally not drained, but I was very touched by what I saw, and I immediately knew that I wanted to make a difference, which is of course a very ambitious and idealistic idea, but still I wanted to try, and I think I have succeeded with that. Yeah.
So what help do you offer exactly in your charity?
Well, we focus mostly on education because we believe that is truly the method or means or weapon, or what people want to call it, to change the future of an individual, and hence also the world and the country itself. And so we focus, mostly on education, and then the quality of education, the access to education, and the whole infrastructure around it, which means the buildings and all the necessities needed to actually provide education.
Yeah. And how many children do you help with your work?
Well, of course, the number of students or learners, that varies from year to year, but I would say overall we have made a difference in the lives of approximately 400 children.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
And are you still a student, or did you finish studying yet already?
No, I'm actually currently writing my thesis, my graduation assignment. So I'm still studying. I study international business at Fontys University in Venlo.
Right. So that's the link with Venlo, right? How is the
exactly.
thesis coming along? Just a little sidetrack.
Well, it's going. I mean, it's always a lot of work. I'm very lucky, and I feel very privileged that I can write a thesis about a topic within my own charity. Mm-hmm. So it is a lot of passion that goes into the things that I write. But then again, it's still a lot of work, of course. So, and also because you know what depends on it, because we've written various reports during our studies. But just to know that this is the final graduation assignment, it does put some pressure on you, I would say.
Yes, I can totally relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so did you get help when you were starting up? Because you were 13 and you got this idea of making a difference. Did you get help? And if yes, of whom?
I've received a lot of help and support during the years. At the beginning, for example, the first fundraising event or activity I did was washing cars with my cousin. Mm-hmm. So in the first years, I've raised funds by doing such small activities and baking cookies and selling them from door to door on markets. Mm-hmm. And volunteers were always needed. And these were mostly my family and friends. And still to this day, my mom, she is the chairman of the charity. So she's also in the charity board, and my parents always support me with all my goals in life, and they hopefully will always continue doing so, but I'm sure of it. And also I have a lot of supportive family and friends who help whenever I ask them, for example, on events, but also to brainstorm or, for whatever reason, actually, because I also, as a charity, I not only want to show people what a difference we make as a charity, but also which difference they make when supporting the charity. And if that is on a financial basis, like donating or even sharing a post on social media, everything or activity somebody does truly make a difference in the lives of these children over there. So yeah, I get a lot of support.
Do you think that's important to have this strong network of this group of friends and family that will help you?
Yes, I think it's very crucial. Of course, the inner circle is most important, I would say. Of course, from your network, you are also able to obtain donations from. But at the beginning, at the starting point of my initiative, I, of course, needed friends and family to motivate me whenever I felt like I wasn't gaining something. For example, I spent the whole day advertising for a fundraising event such as baking cookies, and if nobody would buy my cookies, my parents often said to me like, "Hey babe, it's fine, you tried, you're doing the best you can." And as a child, I think it's very crucial that your parents provide you that stability and support when you sometimes also feel a bit sad if things don't go the way you want them to. Although I have to say I always stay positive because I love baking those cookies, even though when people didn't buy them. But I would say it's very important. Yeah.
So they also taught you that failing is part of life, basically. But also when you want to do something ambitious, as you did, that trial and error is okay, and it's fine to try different tracks and see what works and what not, right?
Exactly. And I also think that, well, especially my parents, they saw it coming from a mile away, in a matter of speaking. You know, when I said, like, I want to raise 100 euros for baking cookies, and they see me selling them for 5 cents a piece, they already know, well, Britt, you're not going to make that amount of money in a day. But they let me do it, myself, and like find it out and discover it for myself. And I think that's very important for everybody. And still to this day, for example, I have an expectation for a certain fundraising event, and if that doesn't raise the amount of money that was previously expected or hoped for, or maybe also more than expected, I think it's also, my parents, they raised me with the idea of, as long as you try your best, for example, also with tests at school, as long as you try your best, that is all you can do. And the result, of course, when it's a really good result, that's always nice. But as long as you put effort into it, the result doesn't really necessarily be the most important thing in the world.
Were your parents, do your parents have an entrepreneurial background as well?
Yes, especially my mom. She is always busy with new ideas, and she's very, very ambitious. And my dad is also very ambitious, but he had the same position or the same field in which he works, I think, over the most course of his life, the biggest course of his life. But my mom, she's always changing and adapting new ideas or executing new things, and she is an entrepreneur. So I think I also got it from her. But the initiative itself really started from me, because at the beginning my parents thought that it might be a spontaneous idea that I wouldn't really go through with. But well, I did. So I think it works. Like, of course, there's a part. My personality is a big part that comes into play, but also how your parents raise you, but also your goals as an individual.
Yeah, and do you mostly have Dutch donators, or do you have any? Do you receive any international support as well?
I would say it's mostly Dutch. We have organized events at school in Venlo, and of course there are a lot of Germans attending studies there as well, and also some international students, as in Germans are also international, but for example, from Denmark or from Sweden or Finland or from the United States or China, and they are all very supportive of the charity. But I would say that as for now, we focus mostly on the Dutch market, because I think as a charity we have I'm so proud of how transparent and honest we are as a charity. But to be very honest, it hasn't gone as far it's to go yet in the Netherlands. So I think our main focus is firstly the Netherlands and then the rest of the world.
But what do you mean by it hasn't gone exactly the way you wanted it? You mean in terms of reach, for example, or?
Yes, exactly. Because lately, also that's what my thesis is about. We are trying to be very active on social media, and we think we have such a good story, but not enough people know about it yet. So we're really investigating how we can get our message into the world, as into the Netherlands. We're very actively searching for methods and ways to actually lead up to that.
Yeah.
But of course we will succeed, but it's just also from a part of me that's just very proud as a charity, and also what I said earlier, that we can provide a way for individuals who do not have the means or nor the energy, that they can also make a difference in the world. And I think some people have prejudices about bigger charities or NGOs, and I'm also here as a charity to make a point that not all charities are similar to each other in the way that they treat donors, the way that they treat their projects, or the way that, for example, the directors earn a certain amount of wage or whatsoever. So I think like I said, I'm very proud of the charity, and I think this is a message that we should try to bring into the world as promptly as possible, because it really makes a difference for other people in South Africa.
We'll put a link to your website in the description. So if people want to make a donation, they can do that via our channels.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, they shouldn't feel obliged, but of course, every euro really makes a difference.
Yeah.
As I've also seen. So that's always very, very welcome.
If you would have one tip to conclude for students who want to start a business or a charity, what would that be?
That is a very good question. Well, I would say if you have a goal or a dream, don't let anybody tell you it's too ambitious or you cannot achieve it. You have to really relate your own personal passion to your idea, and as long as you keep your passion and your enthusiasm and your spirit up, you will succeed no matter what. And of course, there will be people who might want to try to put you down or have other ideas or comments, but as long as you stick to your own ideas and dreams, of course, with sometimes collaborating with other people, because you can learn a lot from other people, you will definitely succeed.
Oh, I love that view on life.
Thank you.
It's really positive and optimistic, and I hope it will inspire and help others who are listening to this to just pursue their dream.
I hope so too.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Britt, and have good luck with the rest of the company and your business.
Thank you so much.
So, Maurice, welcome.
Hello.
With me at the podcast table is Maurice Schaffeld. Maurice is a German student living in Germany but studying at the Fontys University for Applied Sciences, right?
Yes, that is very much correct.
And you study international business.
Yeah, I'm a first semester international business student.
Okay. I'm just gonna say, because you are a very special guest, because you're kind of like a famous Venlonian student, so to speak, because you are the boss of Venlo. Can you tell a bit more about that?
Yeah, I was just expecting this question, so
you prepared the speech.
Maybe I should come up with like one sentence at some point to sum it all up, but maybe it's a put. So basically, I'm elected as boss of Venlo to represent the whole study life in Venlo and how it is. So not putting emphasis on being a German student, but being a student in Venlo in general.
Yeah. And it was I think the Czech Venlo who arranged it, right?
Yeah.
And now you're all kind of like the student promoter of Venlo, if I'm correct.
Yeah, you could say promoter.
Or ambassador, it's a better word, maybe.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So yeah, you promote all the things that you do on Instagram on their Instagram page. So from going shopping for furniture for your new student house to visiting our game night or going to the cinema, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, can you tell a bit more about, because you were saying like you represent kind of the student in Venlo. How do you experience being a student here, and how do you experience it as being a German? Student?
Yeah, I was positively surprised by Venlo as a city and also Fontys as a university, because like a few years ago, my mother suggested that I could look into the universities in the Netherlands, but like teenagers are, I just wanted to disagree with her. So, but at a later point, I took a look at all the universities and I selected Fontys as my favorite upon all of them. So I applied and then I got into Fontys. So it's different from German universities, because if you want to say like I want to study international business, like I'm currently studying, you have to either like pay the university in Germany a lot of money, like 700 euros a month or something like that, or you had to be like really good in school. And even then you don't get like the hands-on project-based study program I'm currently experiencing in Venlo at the Fontys. So
what you said, it was your first choice, right? The Fontys in Venlo?
Yeah. It was recommended by a friend of mine. So he knew some people, and then eventually many people came up to me like, "Oh yeah, I know a guy who studied there," and he was like very much surprised of all the like practical orientation there. So
if I was going to ask, what's the appeal? That would be the practical approach.
Yeah, that's a good question, because so I originally come from a town which is already like near the border, and we have like also like across the border relationships and stuff like that. But
where do you come from?
I don't know if anyone who's hearing that knows that town, but it's called Haldern.
Yeah.
Not to confuse with Haltern.
Okay.
That's a different city. So, but maybe some know Wesel. That's nearby. So yeah. But yeah, I live at the border, and so that wasn't like another thing for me to experience to come to, because currently I'm living in Kaltenkirchen, not in Venlo, but coming to the border and studying across.
It was just an easy choice, just like hop over to the other side
just
of
like
the border.
Home.
Just like home. Why did you choose to not come live in Venlo, but so you did move out and you decided to move to a student house, if I'm correct, in Germany. Why is that?
So I looked for accommodation in Venlo, but that turned out to be like a little bit more on the expensive and more of the expensive side of things. But I looked for accommodation, and then I ended up in Kaltenkirchen, which was like by bike 25 minutes. And now I'm currently living with 2 other roommates in a house, and I have like 15 square meters, I think, and paying about 280 euros a month.
That's
And
quite
so
all right.
that's pretty good. So I talked to some guys at the other day that he was like living in a student dorm in Venlo, and he was like, yeah, I'm paying about 450 euros a month, and I have 10 square meter, one room, and
Yeah.
living with 15 others, and they have they have one kitchen and one fridge
Oh my God.
for so many people. And so
There must be so much mold in that fridge. Like all the
Yeah.
people just leaving their food there.
yeah, so it was quite clear where to go.
So mostly finances.
yeah, kind of.
So if rooms would be cheaper here, would you consider coming to Venlo?
Yes, I would. I mean, like, to take in consideration the bureaucracy, you have to you have to get a service number or something like that, and do things with the city hall. I pretty much didn't want to do that, so I ended up in Gallenkirchen. But yeah, if the prices, maybe I was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. But if the prices were right, I would have looked maybe closer. But I don't know.
For now, it's nice and cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's good
that's
reason.
student life.
Yeah. And how do you like student life in Venlo? What do you like the most?
Oh, that was a nice transition. Yeah.
Thanks.
I really I enjoy student life here. So not only because of the whole Boss of Venlo campaign, because I met a lot of people because of that. Essentially, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't elected as the Boss of Venlo.
You would
So-
be a nobody.
Yeah, I'm still nobody, but
Just
but
kidding.
in another way, because like after I was elected, all these people like came up to me and was like, "Oh, you're special now." But I'm like, "Oh, I'm just a normal guy."
I'm just the same Maurice from Germany.
Yeah. But to come back to the question,
Yeah.
I really enjoy student life here because Venlo is like not too large of a city, but not too small either. So it's cool to live here because there are like, I don't know, only like 100,000 in residents. So you can on one side like have the noisy and loud student life and partying and all this stuff, but at the same time in the same city you can have these silent places where you can go to just relax or study or
What kind of places do you go then? For
For what?
for either one of them. No, like for partying and relaxation. Is this like
yeah,
are
for
there
partying,
hotspots for students? Like
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't study here, so I wouldn't know.
the John Doe is pretty popular, and right now the Gouden Tijger is also like launching here, or I don't know if they already opened, but that looks nice too. For relaxation, I mean, I can always come here to
Of
to
course.
the bibliothek and to bibliothek library to study, but also at the university. So you have a lot of spaces to study there by yourself, and
Would you recommend Venlo to other students?
yeah, I would definitely, because I think many students like me who weren't pretty good in school are looking for more like-minded people. I would rather say are looking for more like this practical orientation in the study programs, and many people are also not knowing what to study exactly after school. So just like me, and I was just like researching and came up with international business, but it's much more attractive here in the Netherlands than it is in Germany, especially for that, but also for other like marketing management or international finance and control and all these study programs, and you have in Venlo you have a very, I would say, young city, and like it's a woken up place, if you could say it like that. And yeah, you can have you can have fun here, so it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's well for a lot of people in the Netherlands at least. Like, I know that I live in Nijmegen, and a lot of people say that I work in Venlo and I organize events for students. The first question that I get, or well, it's more like a remark. Oh, I didn't know there were any students in Venlo. What are they doing there?
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, there's two schools for applied sciences, Haas and Fontys, and there is University of Maastricht, who has a university college here. So I think a lot of people don't know yet that Venlo can be a nice city to study in as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are also like lots of people who don't know Venlo. So like speaking from the German side, like I talked to some people I know, but they don't live near the border. But they were like, yeah, where's Venlo? So I don't know that place. But for me or for the students I have in my class, it's like they knew Venlo before. And it's like weird to have this conversation like, hey, you don't know Venlo?
Yeah. Hey, I heard that you you want to start a company yourself.
Oh, really?
Is that right?
I put something like that out in the world.
And now it's clinging to you. Never getting rid of it.
Yeah. No, so, to be honest, I'm very curious about like creating a business myself, but also I'm not quite sure in which direction that could go. So Fontys is providing you with all these guidelines and like giving you input, but all of those responsibilities you have to do in like these modules and in the lectures themselves. You're pretty free, so you get more responsibilities than in another place. So, but I don't know. Maybe.
What kind of business would you want to start? Have you thought about it?
That's the right question to start with. So,
well, maybe in advertising or social marketing.
Yeah, I don't know. It really could, like, international business is like a broad spectrum of things you could do with it. So, like, going in marketing, HR, finance, and stuff like that. But I really have no idea.
Well, I accidentally know a guy that you can have a really good conversation about that kind of stuff. So I will set up a meeting for you guys.
Yeah, I heard of that guy. Yeah.
And what do you were saying, like, you're going to the Golden Tiger, or is there anything else you do in your free time? So you do spend it a lot in Venlo then, or?
Oh yes.
Not in Nettetal.
No, not at all, because there isn't really much to Kaltenkirchen than than you would expect. So Venlo is more like the big city nearby. So you just like, I mean, I cycle like 25 minutes to Venlo, and then I can have free coffee at Stag, or come to the library, or get pizza at Nina Pizza. Really like that place too. Or go to the city cinema, or just like you can do everything here you want. Like I really like that. Or going to the gym, or just cycling around, or sitting at the Mars with friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Is there anything you dislike about studying here or being a student in Venlo?
Oh, being a student in Venlo, what I dislike, now I have to really be honest. No, just kidding. I'm quite afraid of losing my bike.
Oh yeah.
So because bikes here really, like, on a regular basis get stolen, And I heard of, I'm just like weekly, I'm hearing of like 2 stolen bikes in my class.
That's a constant struggle.
Yeah, and that's not even a surprise anymore. The people in Venlo are like, oh, your bike was stolen? Oh yeah, that happens.
Join the club.
So I'm like, no, I don't want that to happen. So,
no, especially if you have to walk back for like 10 kilometers to Gardenkirchen.
So, yeah, but apart from that, I would say only the relationship between like car drivers and bike riders. So it's like both hate each other and you constantly have to be afraid of the other person. So like if I'm driving with the car through Venlo, I have to look around and be like, oh, is there a bike nearby? Or oh, I nearly hit that guy or something like that. And as the cycler, you just riding and somehow there's like a scooter coming by or people like getting in front of you and just like stopping for no reason at all. And yeah, you have to be really
mayhem.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit like you're describing Rome or Paris. But it happens in Venlo as well.
It's not that bad, but maybe because of like my background coming from a small town, it's like unusual for me. But
and so in some cities you have these cycling streets where they get the cars are a guest. So they like it's all like completely red, and then you always go first as a cycler, and they all have to pay attention to the cycler because they come first. Maybe it's an idea for the municipality to introduce these cycling streets in Venlo as well.
Don't get me wrong, I really like the infrastructure with the whole cycling thing in the Netherlands, because it's much better than in Germany. You have like these cycling roads that apparently for no reason just stop existing at some point. So you're just in the middle of the night, you're riding a bike on an empty street, and there are like cars coming with 100 kilometers an hour and passing by, and you have to be afraid.
Hey Maurice, thank you very much for the conversation. I think we've tackled a lot from being scared to death by cars to
it's not that bad, but
we talked a bit about your role as the boss of Venlo. So you're going to be that for the rest of the year, right? Till August or something, or
till September, I think.
So you have
August,
still
September,
some time. Well, enjoy it very much, and
thank you very much.
You're always welcome here, of course, to join for another game night, for example. Or other events that we organize, you're always welcome. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for having me.
Take care.
All right.
So we're gonna wrap up with a final words. We want to encourage you, the student, to broaden your perspective and think across the border, because the border is not something to be scared of. There's a whole lot more possible then, and we have given you plenty of tips to help you in setting the first steps to do that, and also if you want to start a business, for example. So it's for you to decide if it's really such a big difference, Germany, the Netherlands. I have a book tip, not from myself this time, but from Jan-Niklas. It's called Sprint, and we have it at the library here. It's about creating a more entrepreneurial kind of mindset. And he gave some other tips as well, but we'll put them in a link for you below. So just to conclude, a very short background, because at the Venlo City Library we have the Deutschland and Nederland House, or German and Dutch house. It encourages thinking across borders as well, because we're each other's neighbors and we share a history, a background, culture, and our languages are similar. So we want to encourage that even more. So that's it for now. Just very, very final thing, because we have a next episode that we are going to record in not too long. So stay tuned, for we will release this episode before the end of the year. And for now, a goodbye and take care.